All right, three, two, one. We're about to go live. All right, we are live. So this is Randumpz, guys. I'm here with Asher, and this is podcast number 2 of Randumpz. So let's get started. Asher, man, what's up?
How you doing, Ali? Long time.
Yeah, man, it's been since what? Since the last time I saw you, we were at the club at Seoul, right?
Yeah, I need to one.
Yeah, man, that was quite a bit. If I remember, bro, you got this one girl's number at the club. How did that go?
Ooh, that's a long story. Yeah, I don't know how uh, I don't even know where to start. I usually get lucky at the clubs, not in terms of like leaving with girls and stuff, but I can dance with girls, I can talk to them, I can get their phone numbers and
Right.
whatnot. But after all that's done, the next day trying to talk to these girls is just like it's just terrible. I don't know what it is. Like, you're trying to be nice, like, oh yeah, last night was fun or whatever, or just say something cool, but like conversation dies really quickly or they won't respond and it's just like, but I'm the same dude that like you saw last
Yeah.
night. Like nothing's changed.
You know, bro,
So
like I don't know your experience with Korean girls, but like almost every Korean girl, and this is nothing against Korean people, you know what I mean? But like in my experience, just like I have no compatibility with Korean girls. Like I can't talk to
mhm,
them,
yeah.
you know?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Like I've been dealing with this for what, 8 months now.
Same,
So
same.
yeah, I don't really don't know what it is. I'm like, what am I changing? Am I saying something wrong? Do I need to change my approach? I don't know what it is, but it's all good though. I've learned to accept that it's gonna end up being an L, so
Yeah. Well, so I
it's
mean,
not a big deal.
in my experience, I feel like part of it is just like sense of humor, because I feel
Hmm.
like no matter who you're talking with, especially if it's a girl though, if you guys don't share, similar sense of humor, the conversation is gonna get really serious, and if it gets serious, chances are, especially if it's like a first conversation over the phone or whatever, like a first date,
Hmm.
it's not gonna go anywhere because if you guys are unable to sort of joke around with each other, chances are neither of you are gonna be able to become comfortable. You know,
Hmm.
like there's
Hmm.
this initial like tenseness, right? Like on a first date, this always happens to me, right? There's a very like right before you meet the girl, okay? This is like for me, this is like usually how I gauge whether it's gonna work out or not, right? Let's say it's the first date we meet up, right? When I go in for the hug, if I see that she's super tense, it's
Hmm.
usually like a sign that okay, this girl may either be antisocial or maybe she just straight up doesn't like me or it could be
Hmm.
whatever, you know?
Hmm.
But usually like the first couple seconds, like when you meet up with a girl and like you're talking to her, if she's tense on the hug, bro, your date you might as well just fucking walk away because the date's gonna go downhill fast. But there have been
Ah,
exceptions. There have been exceptions, you know.
that's funny. I'm just picturing a situation where somebody walks in and it's his first date, and then the girl comes and says hi, and then you go in for a hug, and it's like an awkward hug.
Yeah.
And after that, you just say, you know what? I'm sorry, girl, but I have a hugging policy, and if I don't get a good hug from the get-go, then I just gotta go. I'm
Bro, for
sorry, I
real.
gotta go home
You just go
now.
like you go like first you tell her, yo, what kind of hug was that, first of all, right?
Yeah,
And then you just
yeah.
walk away, you leave her standing. But that's happened to me a couple times, right? Where like I will hug a girl and like she will tense up and like she doesn't know what to do. And then as soon as that happens, I'm just like, fuck. In my
Yeah,
head, right? I'm just thinking, fuck. Right? This is gonna
yeah.
be a disaster, man. But so okay,
I
so
mean,
sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say like some people are just awkward, I guess, when they first
True.
meet, which is fine. There's some anxiety when like you obviously go on the first date and whatnot, but
Yeah,
I'm actually not the best hugger. Like I know some people that hug like really, really hard, and
yeah.
I know like hugging is supposed to be like a comfort thing, so you're not supposed to hug soft, I guess. Maybe not hard. Well, hug with enough
On
comfort, I
well,
guess.
on the first date, I would suggest hugging lightly. If you hug too hard, she's
Hmm.
gonna think you're a pervert.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But yeah, I've always been like a light hugger, and some people like, friends and family will be like, "Wow, like you suck at giving hugs." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You want me to grab? How hard do you want me to grab you, fam?" Like, like we're not getting intimate here. I'm just
Yeah.
acknowledging your presence. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
When it comes to family, I almost never hug. I can't remember the last time I hugged a family member. I don't do it because it's just like it's like I feel like I don't need to hug you, and it's like in all honesty, like that probably sounds messed up. I don't need to hug someone in my family, but in all honesty, like I've known you long enough, man, that like for a first date, the only reason I hug on like a first date is simply because I want to try and get past the because like if you don't hug at the beginning of the date, right? There's going to be a bit more pressure to hug at the end of the date.
I think you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
right? So I will try and hug at the beginning because, like, let's say for example, like if you walk away without even so much as touching the girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's you guys are, even if you guys talk and talk, right? You guys are not gonna feel comfortable. Like if you can't even hug the girl, how are you gonna make any sort of move later on?
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. In order to like start off the date right and well, giving a hug to start usually is just like,
Yeah,
it's a nice way
absolutely.
to break the ice, like you
And you
say.
do it, yeah, you do it as like a gentlemanly thing. Like when I hug, like I make sure, like I will lean forward so that my mid region, like my,
Mm-hmm.
like the bottom of my pelvis area is not like
Mm-hmm.
coming into contact or trying to come into contact, right? Like I will
Yeah, yeah,
obviously respect the girl's space, and like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
usually how girls will hug too, right? They will lean forward so that their pelvis area is not connecting with you.
Exactly.
So like, and like
I
and
this,
sorry,
sorry,
go
go
on.
ahead.
Well, I'm just saying I've seen some like in high school. I would see some like hardcore guy huggers, and like I
Mm-hmm.
remember talking to some female friends I had, and they would usually be like, "Yo, these guys are desperate." Right?
Yeah.
Because like if you're a girl and a guy just comes up to you and he hugs you and he grabs you, let's say you don't even know him that well, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, bro, relax. you know,
Mm-hmm.
like chill out for a second.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I don't know you like that.
Yeah,
And you're right, because guys tend to be taller than girls too. So it's like if you hug them straight up, then you're putting like your pelvis in like their stomach area. So like you're right, every time like I hug a girl and they're almost always shorter than me,
yeah,
I always like, lean forward a little bit with my upper body to like hug them.
of
So it
course,
ends up
of
being like kind
course.
of like an awkward hug.
Yeah, but I mean that's just like, bro, that's just being gentlemanly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, do you really want to start grinding up on a girl the first 5 seconds you meet her, right? Like that. Like if think about it, bro. Think like imagine if the roles were reversed, right? You're a girl. You meet. So as you said, most guys are bigger than girls, right? So like
Hmm.
obviously she knows that like physically you can kind of dominate over her, right? And then you meet some guy who's touchy and grabby within the
Hmm.
first 5 seconds, like just on like a basic human level, I imagine for a girl that's gonna kind of frighten you a little bit, right? That this guy likes to grab, he likes to touch, and like because he's bigger and stronger than me, like it just because she doesn't know you, I feel like it might frighten her slightly. Like what if this guy tries something, you know?
Yeah, I think I don't know how to explain this, but I would say that a little bit of physical contact during like the date is
Absolutely.
is a little necessary. But obviously, there's sometimes it's too little or sometimes too much. So like if
Yeah.
you give a hug and whatever, and you keep talking, and everything went well, and maybe you hug her again at the end of the date, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like for example, if you guys like eating dinner at a restaurant or whatever, like touching shouldn't be something you're trying to do. Like you're in a
True.
public area, you guys are eating, like you don't need to touch me kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But if we're like going for a walk at the beach or wherever, and it's out in public, if I maybe rub your back while I'm talking to you, or maybe I don't know if holding hands on the first date is like something you should do, but something like that, establishing some physical contact of some kind to let the girl know that hey, I'm interested in you. But
Damn, Asher,
obviously,
you're bold, eh? Did you just say rubbing a girl's back on the first date?
no, 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 no.
That's
Okay,
bold, man. Holy crap.
no, but like obviously there's like a little bit too much or too little. So like what I mean is if you're walking and she says something funny and then like you laugh, you can like kind
Yeah.
of how you do like a
Oh yeah,
friendly
yeah.
back
Like
rub,
when you
like
said back rub, I thought like your hand is on her back for like 20 seconds and you're just
no,
rubbing in a
no,
circular
no,
motion.
no.
I'm
You're not like
thinking, what?
massaging her like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean like if she says something funny,
Yeah,
you guys
absolutely.
both laugh and you just like like rub her back for literally like I mean like a
Or even
second
her
kind
like
of
her
like
arm or something, right? Like yeah, like you
yeah,
touch
her
it.
arm, yeah. So
Yeah,
stuff like
no.
that.
Yeah, 100%. But like you should be like natural. Like I mean, like there are some girls that like some girls you just can't do it with them, right? And the reason being is because maybe they're overly tense or they just like everybody gives you a certain vibe, right? Like everybody you meet, guy or girl, gives you like a certain vibe. And some people like you just kind of open up, I guess, or are more comfortable with them, sooner rather than later. And like
Hmm.
other people because if you meet someone that's very nervous, like they're gonna make you nervous.
Hmm.
It's the same thing in the animal like world. That's why they say like when you meet a dog, don't be nervous because the dog is gonna get nervous and think you're trying to attack it. Because there's just
Hmm.
this vibe that all living beings pick up on, right? Human beings too.
Hmm.
So when you meet a girl that's like just like super tense and shit, like it's
Hmm.
just it's hard. It's really difficult to essentially familiarize yourself with her. You know.
Right.
But that being said, like one thing that's really interesting, like about relationships, human relationships, not just romantic, but friendships as well, is that
Mm-hmm.
I find that the people that I usually click with, that the people that I'm compatible with, that the people I can talk to, guys or girls, doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually, and this is the weird thing. Like, let's say for example, like let's say you and I meet and we're super compatible as friends, right? Like from the first 5 seconds we meet, we just like hit it off as friends, you know?
Right.
And then I meet somebody else, and like for example, he and I or she and I, we're just not compatible for whatever reasons. For
Mm-hmm.
9 out of 10 times, I find, right, that if, let's say for example, if you and I are super compatible and I'm not compatible with one person, you also won't be compatible with that person too.
Yeah, that does make sense. Obviously, if you're similar to one person, then that person may also not be compatible with another person that you're
Yeah.
not compatible with. Yeah.
You know, so like when you're on a date and like if it's like, you're dating a girl, or just not even a date, a first date is just like you're meeting a girl and like you just can't click with her, dude. It's funny because with somebody else, I'm sure she would be super comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? And vice versa, you know?
Right. Right.
So this girl that you met at the club, you guys talked and there was, for lack of a better term, I guess no chemistry between you guys?
No, I thought there was chemistry between the two of us I mean at the time when we were dancing and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean from I don't know, it's kind of hard to say you guys have chemistry at a club because, there's music playing, there's alcohol involved, and there's
Right.
just,
And you're
I
dancing, right?
yeah, exactly, and I'm dancing. So like girls obviously like somebody that's dancing and having a good time. So if
Yeah.
they see that and they see that, this guy seems like he's a good person, he's enjoying
He
himself and
doesn't
what.
seem like a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. He seems like somebody that like not even not trust, but somebody
Yeah.
that like, is comfortable with himself.
Right.
So they read up on that energy and they say, okay, I want to have fun too, like the fun he's having right now, and so they want to connect with you or dance with you or whatever, establish that connection. So you don't like. I'm not necessarily calling it chemistry. I'm just calling it like,
Mm-hmm.
having fun, I guess.
Right.
So,
But I mean like on the
uh,
phone call afterward.
oh no, no, we didn't talk on the phone.
Okay.
I didn't call her because, we didn't get that far.
Oh, so just
But
texting?
yeah, just texting. So, but yeah, I mean, I remember going upstairs to use like the bathroom, and then
Yeah.
I bumped into some of her friends there actually, because she didn't come alone. She had like some guy friends with her.
Right.
And when I was in there, they actually asked me like, "Oh yeah, so like, you like Sophie or like how's Sophie and whatever." And at that time, I actually didn't know what her name was. I was like, "Oh, Sophie," and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, like my friend, the girl you were dancing with." I was like, "Oh yeah, Sophie." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, she's pretty cool actually. Like, yeah, I think she's cute and whatnot." So her boyfriends
Yeah.
uh, seemed like cool and wanted to maybe hook us up or something. I
Which
don't
is
know.
surprising, dude. Like I'm surprised
Yeah.
that all of her guy friends were encouraging. Usually there's always one cock blocker in the group, you know?
Definitely. And like usually when guys go out with with a girl, they're usually very protective over her.
Yeah.
So it was very shocking for me to like, hear that from her guy friends. I was like, "Oh wow. I guess they're cool dudes." But it didn't end up, becoming anything because I was like, okay, like, I got her phone number and I thought I was like, "Oh, it's cool. Like I'll talk to her and we'll see what's good." But nope. So I've been doing this
Mm,
for a long, long time. I
yeah.
feel like these days girls just have so many options with like Tinder, like going out and whatever. Like they have like at least like 5 to 10 guys in their DMs or
True.
text stuff. So they just pick and choose. Like, I don't want to talk to this guy. I want to talk to this guy. Blah blah blah.
For
So
any given girl, bro, there's like I feel like especially if even if she's not single, but especially if people know she's single, there's like at any given time 5 guys trying to blow her up on
mm,
social media in some way, right? Blowing up her phone, etc. So like
right.
I don't like it's kind of weird because like in that sense, like imagine if you're like any guy and you got like tons of like presumably somewhat at least like attractive girls blowing you up, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like your reaction is gonna be a little bit different, whereas girls, like they're a little bit more choosy, which is like I don't know, man. It's just like difference in general. But what you were saying about the club, bro, like I haven't. Yo, the club for me was awkward as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you and Anton noticed, bro, because like the last time I've been to a club, man, before the time we went out was like I think
Mm-hmm.
6 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like the clubs that I went to, I was talking to Anton, and when Anton heard me say this, he's like, "What?" Because like almost all the clubs that I went to, like when I was younger, were clubs
Mm-hmm.
where like as far as the dancing goes, most people were just grinding.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there were a few guys dancing with girls and like the way we saw at the club, but like
Mm-hmm.
most times that I saw, like bro, I can't even like the clubs in Toronto that I used to go to. there was no like coming up like basically what everybody was doing was that they would just basically go behind the girl, and then they would start dancing like as in like literally grinding against her, like following her through grind, right? And like if she wanted to dance with you, she'd dance with you, and if she didn't, she'd push you off. So like in a sense, this was like really easy because it doesn't matter if you don't know how to dance. Even a fucking idiot can follow a girl while she's moving.
Right, right.
You know? So like when I went to this Korean place, I don't know how to dance for shit. Okay? So when I went to this Korean place and I realized, oh wait, I have to actually dance, right? Like this is not just some fucking lazy man's dance, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
actually dancing. Like it felt, bro, I'm actually really tense. I'm really tense. Like my body is not so loose, you know? So I mean, like it's funny, and like I remember, yeah, I think that girl you were talking to, and like one other person was like, "Hey, why do you look so serious?" Right? And then I'm thinking like this is just like I get that a lot. Like it's just like my resting facial expression. But then, bro, imagine this, because this is what sort of made me feel weird later. Imagine you're seeing some, imagine you're seeing somebody dance at a club or something, right? And they've got
Right.
like a completely dead serious facial expression. Right? So like I was like afterwards, right? I started thinking about it because like for me it's very difficult for me to show emotion if I genuinely don't care, you know? And like a lot of the songs I didn't like. So like I was putting an attempt to dance. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was attempting to dance, right? But that being said, I wasn't smiling that much. And like I guess like if you're like if you're like on the other side of the club looking over, you see this guy dancing with a dead serious face, right? At least that's what like I'm assuming, like because that's what she said, and a few other people were saying that like, hey, like thing. I was just like, it made me feel weird, man. I was like, yo, I was like, I can't ever do this again, you know, because I was like, holy shit. But yeah, it
No,
was funny, man. It was funny.
yeah, like you're completely right. Like the vibe that you give off is obviously like, gonna work for you or it's gonna work against you, right?
Yeah,
So if you're in the club and then, these people are looking at you and they say, wow, this guy is so serious. It looks like he's not
yeah,
having a good time. You wouldn't expect girls to like wanna like come up to you or talk to you or dance with
exactly.
you, right? It just makes sense.
Yeah, man, but because it was just like it wasn't even that so much, dude. It was just like part of it is the vibe, right? But the other
Hmm.
part of it is just like, bro, I can't even tell you. Like most of the time, like I'm actually not serious, you know. Like
Hmm.
most of the time, I'm actually in a really good mood, right? And even when I am serious, right? Like my mood can switch really quickly in terms. But like the thing is, like I guess because I have like a serious resting facial expression,
Hmm.
right? It just like I guess I appear like I'm serious all the time, even when I'm not.
Hmm.
You know,
No, I get
um,
what you're saying because like I actually have that sometimes. So depending on the day that you catch me, sometimes I'll literally be like stone faced and look like I'm
yeah,
upset or angry and stuff. But then all of a sudden somebody like says my name and I open up, I smile like, oh hey.
yeah,
They're like, oh what happened? And you look like you're gonna kill someone. I'm like, nah man, I was just chilling. Like I have no reason to be
exactly.
smiling, right? I'm just thinking about other stuff that doesn't really matter. But once I start talking to people and then I open up and I'm friendly again. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, man. But once like sometimes, bro, but for that's been happening to me for years. So like usually now when someone tells me, hey, like smile or something, it like sends this shiver up my spine, right? Where I want to be like, you want to see me fucking smile, right? And just like get mad or something, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
yo, man, it is what it is, and like I feel like for me, like especially like on a date in general,
Hmm.
like when it's one on one, I'm much better one on one. You know, I'm even good when it's like one on three. But like I think I told you this, right? Like any more than like three or four people, if I don't know them that well, like I start to basically like I'm still myself, but I guess because there's a lot of people talking, I start to take more of a back seat, right? Because I'm listening more, you know.
Right.
And I don't even know, man. Like it's just like it is something weird, and it's like it's one thing that I've sort of kind of wish that like I wasn't like so stone faced all the time, but yeah, man, I don't it's not something I can change, but it obviously doesn't help in like a club setting or something like that, you know.
Yeah, no, for me, like you had mentioned, so like I like to dance, and
Yeah.
I'd say that's something that will work well for me in clubs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to hip hop. I listen to like a lot of a lot of the songs that they end up playing, like top 40 and stuff that they play in the clubs. So it works out for me because I'm like, oh yeah, I know this song, I enjoy this song, and then I start dancing, and then they're like, oh yeah, like it seems like he's having a good time and stuff. But in terms of like being one-on-one with the girls, like I feel like that's where I shine too, because like um, I don't know, man. I just feel like I vibe with people much easier. And like
Yeah.
sometimes, you don't judge a book by its cover because I've had some people say some stupid things to me, like because I'm black, obviously. They see me and I'm not a small black guy. I'm not very tall. I'm just under 6 feet, but I'm big. So they see a big black guy and the first assumption is like, oh, they get scared or like, they assume whatever certain stereotypes. But
They get
I've had some
intimidated.
people I'm intimidating. Yeah, like I've gotten that a lot. But um yeah, so like a lot of people come up to you like, "Oh, bro, you're so cool," like blah blah blah. Like every time, like maybe not every time, but I get this a lot where like a lot of people have this one assumption of me.
Yeah.
And once I start talking to them or once I open up or smile and stuff, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're a very cheerful person." It's like, why'd you expect the opposite, you know? So, um,
Is
uh,
that your experience in Korea, or is that your experience like when you were in Canada?
um, actually in Canada and Korea, I would say.
Mm.
Um, It's funny, it was actually somebody that I met. I'm not gonna, say who it is just to keep them private, but
Yeah.
someone that I work with. So when I first met them, you know, they had an application with my picture on it, so they knew what I looked
Yeah.
like when I was about to start teaching and stuff. So, I got to talking to them, and then after talking to them for a while, they, I think I don't know if I showed my ID, my alien registration card, so like my ID in Korea,
Yeah.
and then they looked at the picture, and then they're like, wow, like, when I saw your picture, like, I thought like, wow, this guy, he looks like a criminal, but
Wow.
very cheerful person. And I said, I said, yeah, thanks, because like
Yeah.
I knew it was like, definitely not something you should say. It's like a very bad stereotype,
Right.
but
But like it's Korea,
I knew
dude.
they're coming
Yeah.
from, yeah, it's like a Korean person. So I was just like, they may not necessarily say, understand what they just said to me, but
Yeah.
I took it lightly. I said, yeah, no, I know. Like, I should smile more in my photos, something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Honestly,
man.
it's funny because like one like since like I've been in Korea, like people are super polite here.
hmm
But that being
hmm
said, like whenever you're speaking a language that I guess is like not your own, like it's a second language, you have a tendency of sometimes, I guess, I don't know if blunt is the right word, but like I guess maybe being unintentionally rude. you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
like you will
definitely.
just say shit, and like I'll look at you and in my head I'm thinking, is this guy fucking dumb? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
But then like I know the intention is not to like, I guess is not to insult or is not to be offensive or anything like
yeah,
that. So like
yeah.
like I'm not gonna lie, one thing that I love about Korea, as a foreigner at least, dude, is just that like the people here, everybody I meet, like I feel like none of them are ever trying to offend me or give offense.
hmm
Sometimes they may say things that I would be like, yo, what the fuck did you just say to me? If anybody else said it. But like when it's coming from them, like I know the intention is it's like example. Let's say for example, one of your best friends makes a joke where they insult you, and then a stranger makes that same joke where they insult you. Right? For your
Right,
friend, you're gonna laugh. For the stranger, you're gonna be like, yo, what's your problem? Right?
right.
Because like with
Yeah,
your friend, he's not actually trying to like say anything rude to you. He's not trying to be
yeah.
mean to you. With the stranger, you don't know what his intentions are, right? You can only
hmm
presume that he's being rude.
Right.
So like for Korean people, bro, when I meet them, like I actually really love Korean people, and I love like aside from the atmosphere, dude, people here are super polite, and like I guess like I'm not black, so like I have a different experience than you. But that being said, I'm not white either, and like especially when people see my beard, bro, Koreans stare.
Yeah, yeah.
They stare hard.
Yeah, because actually Koreans tend to be very like hairless people.
Yeah,
Like, they don't grow, maybe not that they're not hairless. They like to be men like to have a clean look, right?
yeah,
No beards, no
bro. You know
mustache
what
and
it
stuff.
is? They want, bro. It's not a clean look. They want a boyish look. This
Yeah,
this
baby
culture
look.
is fucking obsessed with looking young.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. And yeah, going back to like meeting Korean people and them being nice. So like yesterday I I went to that restaurant that we went to when we
Yeah,
came to Yangyang. So we went there with like a few friends and we're talking in English and we're talking about girls just like we were talking about earlier today.
right.
and we're talking about like, whether you'd want to know your partner's history, meaning
Oh, okay, okay.
would you want to know how many people that they slept with in the past that you think like, um, and what's your number that you think
Right.
that is too high or too low?
Okay.
So I'll ask you that question. What do you think? Would you like to know your partner's like sexual
Absolutely,
history?
absolutely, dude. Are you out of your mind?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You wouldn't? Because, bro,
I want to hear your opinion first, and I'll tell you my
bro, okay.
opinion.
So number one, STDs, right? Number one,
Okay.
ST fucking Ds. Okay. Nowadays, bro, people don't even like using. Remember Anton? I remember I asked Anton. I'm like, yo, Anton, like, do you use condoms? He's like, no, I don't use condoms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna. I don't even know if I should say this on the podcast or not because like about too much
Well,
personal information.
you're
I don't
already
use
you're already in
condoms.
there,
I don't use
right?
condoms. Well, look, if it's like a stranger, I will use a condom. But I mean, if it's like my girlfriend, there's no fucking way I'm using a condom.
Of
You know,
course.
right? But nowadays, bro, people don't use condoms, right?
Mhm.
It's not something because condoms, you know, like if you're gonna use a condom, you might as well jerk off. In all honesty,
Right.
condoms
Right.
ruin sex. Like you will probably get more out of jerking off than using a condom.
Right.
You know, so like number one, STDs. Number two, at some point, like let's say for example, you and your girl, you guys meet up, you've been talking, right? You decide, you know what, I'm not gonna ask her how many guys she's been with, hypothetically speaking, right?
Hmm.
At some point, you're gonna get curious. You're gonna want to know. And
Right.
what's better to ask her like within like the first couple months and to like get that information out of the way, work through it, or to be like a year in or 2 years in, ask that information, and then all of a sudden your girl tells you, yo, I fucked like 30 guys.
Yeah.
How are you gonna deal with that information?
Yeah. No, okay, so this is how I look at it, right? So let's just assume STDs isn't an issue.
Right.
So let's assume that like regardless of how many guys she slept with, she's clean. Because obviously, regardless if she slept with two guys or like 30 guys, if she's got STDs, you don't want that, correct?
Right.
So, um, now my logic is this: if you meet a girl and you strike it, whether she's Korean, Afghan, or Canadian, whatever,
Right.
if you meet her and then she ends up being what it is that you like, right? And she's
Right.
everything that you wish for. It's like, wow, she has the same interests as me, the same passions as me, the same drive, motivation, whatever. Even if it's religion too, if that is something that matters to you or whoever.
Hmm.
If all she's everything you ever wanted in a woman, but she slept with like 40 guys.
Well, then she's not everything I've
But
ever wanted in a
no, no, no,
woman.
no, no,
Straight
no, no,
up.
no, 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 no. But you don't know that information, though, right?
Okay. All right.
You don't know that she's slept with 40 guys, but she's actually like she likes you. She's in love with you. She thinks you're the man of her dreams. She's tried. She's had fun in her past.
All
She's done
right.
what she had to do. Blah blah. Blah. She lived her life, but now she's not into like hooking up with guys anymore. She's just looking for a man for herself.
Bullshit. That's
But you didn't know that information beforehand. So you met her, and then everything was going great. You're like, wow, you tell her everything's great, blah
okay.
blah. And so you could live your life not knowing that information, or you could find out that information later down the line, and it could screw with you mentally, obviously, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So that's where I'm going with it. It's just
Asher,
like
Asher, I
the
could live my
information.
life. Listen, I could live
Yeah,
my life being an overweight fat fuck, and not have any idea that the reason why I'm being overweight or something is because I eat candy all day, right?
right,
But it doesn't change the fact that I'm overweight my entire fucking life. Okay?
right,
Okay,
right,
look, I'll give
right.
you an example, right? Look,
Okay.
if your girl, look, so let me ask you this, all right? You're saying that to you it doesn't matter so much about how many guys she's been with, right? Can I ask you something?
Right.
Let's say how old are you, Asher? Like 25?
Yeah, 25.
So let's say your
American age.
girl is
Yeah.
24, 25, and she's been with
Okay.
40 guys. At
Right,
the
right,
age of 25, she's been with 40 guys.
right.
Does that change anything or no? Does her age change anything or no?
No, to me, it doesn't really matter.
Wow.
40 is still like a high number. If you're 40 years old or if you're 20 or 25, it doesn't matter. That's still like a really high kill count, you know?
Yeah. So wait. So then, are you saying that if a girl at the age of 25 has 40 guys under her belt, that's too much at the age of 25?
No, no, no. So I'm just saying, regardless of how old you are, if you slept with 40 people,
Right.
I think that's a high number.
No, no,
So
no, no.
whether
But bro, it's age does matter. You know why? Because this
no,
this
no,
is
no, of course, like if they're younger and like they have 40 under the belt compared to a woman that's 40 years old, then yeah, that's obviously worse, right? So
right.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Because look, let me ask you this, right? If you're in a relationship, and this is why I always ask a girl about how many guys she's been with. This is why it's important to me. Like aside from the fact that like I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the idea of like if I really like a girl, I don't like the idea of her with other guys, obviously. So in some sense, I understand what you're saying that it's wiser almost not to ask that question because you're
Mm,
just like you're basically like asking for trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the way I look at it, you
But
know?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do you think that the truth in a relationship is important or not?
Of course the truth is important,
So, and
but
by
again,
that, sorry, go on.
no, but I was going to say also, if the truth is important, and this is say she does have a high number,
Right.
this she's gonna probably lie to you and say, no, I've slept with six
Then
dudes,
she's a
or
liar. She's a
no, but
liar.
then again, you're almost like forcing her to lie
No,
because
but
she
this is
knows
the
you don't
thing,
want to
bro.
hear
But
the actual
see, this
number,
is
you
it.
know?
This is it. This is right there. So we're actually gonna get on to step two. So number one, the truth, right? Number two, yeah, you're right. The girl might be under some pressure to lie. I mean, I've heard that a lot of guys will lie and say that they've been with more girls than they have, and that girls will typically lie and say they've been with less girls, less guys than they have, right? But here's the thing.
Right.
So yes, maybe the girl's gonna be pressured. Maybe she will lie to you. But here's the thing. By asking this question, right? It's not just about it's not just about how many guys she's been with. It's also like about the truth and her character. So like if you're in a relationship with this girl, one of the most relevant questions to you is, can she commit to a relationship? Yes or no? So if she's, let's say, 25, 24, that's a relatively young age. Most people don't begin dating until like 17 early. 16, like well, in high school, I had plenty of friends who had like girlfriends. In middle school, I had plenty of friends who had girlfriends. But I feel like if we take an average age, I feel like 16 is the age that I feel like most people would argue is when dating sort of begins. Some people might begin a little earlier, some people might begin a little bit later. But let's just say the starting date is 16. 16
Okay.
to 25. That's 9 years, okay? So if in 9 years a girl has gone through 40 guys,
Okay.
right? That tells me a couple things. Number one, how long were you with each of these guys? Because for like it doesn't make it, like the numbers just don't fucking add up, right? Like were
Yeah,
you with
yeah,
one someone like a day, an hour, a week, a month, a year? Because it
yeah.
can't be that you had all of these guys were serious relationships, right? And even if she went into the relationship thinking, yo, this is a serious relationship thing, it tells me number one, she cannot commit to a relationship, or B, she cannot commit to a single person. So which means
Right.
that she might cheat. So that's number one. It tells you in terms of her commitment level, part of her character, right? Number
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
it tells you something else. It tells you, bro, if you've been with 40 guys at the age of 25, guarantee, some of those guys must have been one night stands, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They must have been. So you know what that else that tells you about her, aside from lack of commitment? It tells you, bro, impulse control, lack of impulse control. This is a girl where she's in a situation where, and I fucking hate it when people say this. You know when people say, it just happened? It just happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? If she's in a situation where quote unquote it just fucking happened, right? You know she's impulsive. So you know in terms of fidelity, in terms of cheating, there's an increased chance that she might cheat on you because Asher, it just happened. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's two. Number three. So one is commitment, two is fidelity. And again, if she's been with that many guys in the course of 9 years, so aside from the fact that commitment, aside from the fact that some of them are one night stands, there's also friends with benefits. If it's at 40, if she's slept with that many guys, listen, if a girl by the age of 25 has had sex that many times with that many people, it means that sex to her is not anything intimate or sacred in any way, right? It's not something
Yeah,
you
yeah.
should share with someone that you really like. It's just sex. That's how they view it. It's just sex.
And I
What
hate
that
when girls
means,
talk about that stuff, like when they have that opinion. But anyways, go on.
so when you just have that opinion, right? It also means that you're gonna have friends with benefits. So what else does that tell you? It tells you one, she can't commit. It tells you two, she's impulsive. It tells you three, you can't even fucking trust her around her own friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this is like it's not like when I say like, bro, if a girl has a high number count, especially at a young age, that like you know what I mean? It's not just because it might annoy me. Yeah, you're right. It'll drive me if I really like the girl, her high number count will drive me fucking crazy because I won't like
Yeah.
the fact thinking about it. But the other thing is there are red flags that it will tell you about the girl. Also about the guy. Like if you're a girl and a guy's had like a high number, same shit. But it gives you red flags, bro. It tells you, listen, the strength of my relationship with this girl going forward, there are certain things that I know about this girl now. Is it worth pursuing the relationship? Is it worth getting emotionally invested? Is it worth basically putting myself out there, being vulnerable, given that I know her history, given the fact that she's gone through a list of other guys, given the fact that she probably had one night stands, she might cheat on me, given the fact that I can't trust her around her own goddamn friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like all of a sudden, we're having a different conversation, right?
Yeah,
Where now,
yeah.
like I think, like, would you agree with me now or no? Or are you still like on the camp of who gives a shit?
No, no, no. Okay. In my opinion, I want to say in my future relationships or my future wife or whatever,
Yeah.
I still don't want to know. Whether like
Wow.
I just I understand everything that you're saying and I agree on 100%, but like I just know that like in today's culture, like it's very, very hard to find a woman that like will have a respectable number that you're gonna accept, you
Okay.
know? So with Tinder, with the hookup culture, with like you said, people nowadays say like it's just sex, who cares? It's just we're making ourselves feel good. But like I don't like him, I don't see him like that, blah blah blah, but I like you. Like that's just something that's changing. Like as
Yeah, you're
time
right,
goes on,
man. You're right.
people's perception towards that stuff is just becoming looser and looser. Um, let me explain it like this. If there's somebody that does drugs, right? Somebody that like
Okay.
loves smoking marijuana or has done cocaine in the past and tried and experimented with drugs, um, they could become addicted to it, right? They could
Right.
become drug addicts, or they maybe were drug addicts, or they may go back to using drugs again because they miss it. Or maybe they just tried and experimented with drugs and said, you know what, it's not for me. I don't really like that, blah, blah, blah. Or I had my time. I'm done with that. I don't want to ever like
Right.
do drugs again, right? It's the same thing, at least, I don't know, maybe not the same thing, but I'm using that as an analogy to compare. So if you were to date a girl and she told you like, yeah, I did these drugs, whatever in the past, but I never became addicted to it, or
Hmm.
maybe I became an addict and I went to rehab and I may, I may relapse and start doing drugs again, then you won't want that, right?
Right.
But if she told you, yeah, I experimented a few times and like, yeah, it is what it is, you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess whatever. I can see why you did that, but like it's all good. Like, drugs are bad and whatever. So let's continue this relationship. It's the same way I think about it with like the sex. It's like,
But no, but
yeah, like
Asher,
you may
that's a
have had a
false
phase.
equivalence.
No, but like my the way I'm relating is like, with girls, it's very different with women. Women
Yeah.
can sleep with anyone that they really want to. Maybe
Absolutely.
not anyone, but like they have more freedom,
Option. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have more options, more freedom. They can do it whatever which way. Like if they really want like some dick tonight, they can go make it happen. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they like obviously there's slut shaming and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
like I'm just saying it's much much harder for guys to like
Absolutely,
go
bro.
on
As a
take
guy,
up
you gotta put in work, bro. As a woman, listen.
yeah
As a woman, you can be a 6 out of 10, right?
yeah
All you gotta do is it is a proven, like, I don't know how proven fact it is, but bro, for guys, right? Let's say for example you're a guy that, and I hate using numbers. Like I don't like. I think like using a grading system from 10 is not accurate. But like let's just say for simplicity's sake, right? Let's just say you're a guy and the only girls you date are like in your opinion 7 or above, right? And
okay
then one day a girl comes up to you who's like a 5.5 or a 6 and she says, "Do you want to have sex?" Like just straight up. You don't know her nothing.
hmm
Most guys, they are willing to sort of go for a girl that they ordinarily would not go for is if sex is just easy.
right
So if you're a girl, it is incredibly easy to have sex. If you're a girl, it is so easy to have sex. For guys, you got to put in work. You got to talk to her. You got to
yeah
get her number. There's
yeah
steps you got to go through. It takes a couple weeks, depending on who you're talking to. It could take a couple days, depending on who you're talking to, or maybe even a couple months.
yeah
You never know, right?
yeah
But the point is, for a girl, even if she's not attractive, she can walk out tomorrow and almost immediately have sex with almost any guy. Like even a guy that would quote unquote be out of her league, if
yeah
he's just like looking at her and saying, "Well, this is just basically free sex, like immediate sex right off the bat," yeah, sure, why
okay
not?
yeah
But that's just another reason why you gotta be able to trust your girl, bro. Why you gotta be able to be like, "Yo, she's someone who has a sense of self discipline, bro. She's someone who has like a sense of like she can basically deny herself certain things. She has like she restricts herself, right? She's disciplined in that sense."
oh trust me, I'm agreeing with you. I want a girl that has like less than 5 kills and under her belt.
Yeah,
To me that's like awesome. I'm not endorsing saying like, oh yeah, girls that have high kill counts, yeah, come to Asher. That's not what I mean.
yeah,
But like what I'm saying is just like the fact that I don't want to ask that question is proving your point. I don't want to know the answer to that question because I don't want to grow with a high number.
yeah,
But at the same time, is I understand that like girls go through phases. A girl may have like started dating a guy in the first place, and then like it didn't work out, and then she broke her heart and she said, I don't want to date for a while. I'm just gonna like, have sex whenever I want to, blah blah. She goes and she racks up all these kills and whatever.
fuck those girls.
She gets and she gets to a point where she's like, okay, I want to start dating again. And again, not STDs not being an issue. and she wants to start dating you, and she finds Ali, and then whatever, you guys strike it. She's amazing, and she's
All
cool.
right.
She loves your friends, she clicks and all that stuff. But then she has that one question that, or she has that one fact about her that you don't want to know, and then you go and you ask that question, and then you're like, oh, now I know she slept with 40 guys, and then like all your boys are like, yo, your girlfriend's so cool, man. Your parents are like, wow, like I love your girl, she's like amazing, blah blah blah. But then deep down, you know that she slept with 40 dudes.
Yeah, it's
Like
the
that would
relationship
break
is over. It's fucking over.
you. Yeah, but my point is like, was that necessary to know though?
Oh, absolutely,
So,
bro. I actually have a real life example of this, okay? So when I was in
okay.
university, I think this was like my third or my fourth year in uni, right? I actually met this girl in my class. I'm not gonna say her name, but I met her in my class, and like it's funny because when I first met this girl, bro, I actually, before I get into the story, I think it's funny, but remember how just a couple seconds ago you said that you'd prefer to meet a girl with under five guys?
Mm-hmm.
That's my number two. If she has five guys or more, I'm not fucking interested, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, let's continue with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, anyways, okay. So I meet this girl in my class, and when I first met her, actually didn't like her because like I remember we were in class, and then she rose her because it was like a debate class, and then she raised her hand and she goes like, "When we debate, I would really appreciate it if everyone could say my colleague instead of you or her or him, because it's more respectful." And I remember like looking over at this girl and I'm thinking, who the fuck are you? You know, to tell me preemptively, tell the entire class preemptively what to say. Like, are you stupid? Right?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I didn't like this girl, right? Like when we first, like when
Mm-hmm.
we hadn't met yet because she was just like in my class and I was observing her. But when I
Yeah.
like, the first time I ever heard her speak, I was like, oh, this girl's fucking annoying, bro. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like her. But then like we basically, I remember we get put into a group, and as we're being put into a group, in my head I'm thinking, please God, don't put me in a group with this girl. Don't put me. It's gonna cause problems, you know. Don't put me in a group with this girl. We're in a group together. All right. So, anyways, you know, we start talking, and I remember at before she and I started working together in the group, there's a test coming up. So I see her in the library, and I'm trying to study. So I'm like, oh hey, you know, like, are you studying for the test? Because like at this point I was desperate. Otherwise I wouldn't have approached her. So she and I
Mm-hmm.
are talking, and at one point, like she makes a mistake on the computer, and she says, "quote," and this is her quote. She makes a mistake, and you know how most people would have said like "damn" or "crap" or whatever, right? Or "fuck" or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says, "quote," in a library in a pretty loud voice, "fuck me in the ass." That's what she yells out, right? And I'm looking like I'm looking over at her, and I'm thinking that's your response to a frustrating moment you just kind of went through,
Yeah.
not like hell or crap or this is or annoying or damn or whatever. Your
Mm-hmm.
response is to yell "fuck me in the ass" in a library. Like really? So right off the bat, I'm like, okay, this girl is like clearly a little freaky, right? And I didn't know her
Yeah.
at all. I'm like, this girl's clearly kind of a whack job. So what
Yeah.
happens is you know, we end up working together in the group. We make a group. Nobody else shows up except for me and her. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Only me and her show up, right? So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck. Anyways, but at this point, like when we studied for the test, she was a little funny. So at this point, I kind of like her better as a person, but I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
interested in her at this point. Anyway, so we start talking and we hit it off, right? Like I mean, like, bro, in terms of social compatibility, in terms of sense of humor, yo, we barely knew each other, but yo, we hung out like we were studying together for 3 hours, and the entire 3 hours there was never a break in the conversation aside from like when we were
Mm-hmm.
genuinely studying. It was just all laughs, all like she was like thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, right? So we start talking. We start talking after like the second time we do this because I'm a firm believer that if you like a girl, you need to make a fucking move. I'm a firm believer that I don't like guys who try to go the friend route. I'm gonna be her friend. It's like no. If you go that route, you're gonna get friend zoned.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's gonna happen to you, right? I feel like it's also sneaky. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways, but
Yeah.
anyways, right? So she and I are talking. She and I are talking, and after the second date, I ask her out, and she's like, "Sure, yeah." She's like, "Definitely," right? And then at some point, we're talking, and she basically lets me know that she wants a physical relationship with me.
Oh
Okay.
wow.
So I'm like, I'm like, I'm sitting there, thinking to myself, like, a physical relationship, right? Like, I think this was the first time I've definitely been offered that scenario once before. I can't remember if it was before or after this, but I think this may have been the first time I was offered a physical relationship kind of a scenario, right? And then so she and I are talking, and she's like, she's really freaky, bro. Like, she wanted to basically, like, we remember one time we were studying in the library, and she told me that if that library room that we were studying had a door, that she would have fucked me in the room, right? So we're talking, and then you know what she tells me? So I'm like based on this girl, based on like her yelling in the library, "Fuck me in the ass." She obviously doesn't care if people look at her sexually. Based on
Mm,
the fact that like she wants a physical relationship, like I'm not an idiot, you know what I mean? I know that this tells me that this girl's probably been with a lot of guys,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I'm like, listen, no, she asked me, she's like, "What's your baggage?" Right?
Mm,
What's your baggage? And I'm like, I don't have any baggage. And then I asked her baggage, right? And then she's
mm.
apparently had sex with more than 50 different guys.
Wow.
Okay. She told me she's a sex addict.
Mm,
She told me that not only is she had sex with that many guys and she's a sex addict, but on top of which, she's actually went to those like AA meetings for sex addicts, those
oh wow.
whatever meetings. I don't know what they're called, but it's like the meetings for drunk people, but for
Yeah,
sex
yeah,
addicts.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, sex addiction. Yeah.
Right, sex addiction, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm like, what? So I'm like, and the biggest mistake I made, like, she told me this before I kissed her. Like, she told me this after I kissed her, okay? Oh my god. So I regretted kissing her like crazy. But anyways, right? So she tells me this, and like she wants to basically have a physical relationship, right? Like she wants to, like, she wants to do that. And I know there's probably other guys she has this arrangement with too. There have to be, So
Yeah,
I turn her down, right? I say, no, I'm not interested. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's that exact scenario, right? Where you were telling me, hey, listen, like, if you knew, blah, like, if you liked a girl and you knew she's been with a lot of guys, would you? I said no, and she wanted a purely physical. So she was basically offering me a physical relationship devoid of emotion. I mean, as far as both of us could help it, at least.
yeah, yeah,
Devoid. And I still said no because, like, number one, it's like, bro, you can't think with your dick,
yeah,
right? Number one, STDs is definitely a real thing. STDs do
yeah,
happen. Like
yeah,
if a girl's been with like more than 50 guys, either she has an STD or that number will tell you that she will probably get one at some point in the future,
yeah.
right? Two, she told me, and this is I felt kind of bad about this. She's like, hey, listen, when she told me she's a sex addict, like I was like, look, in my head I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, in one of the chat guys, Supreme Cake, he wrote she's trying to smash everybody. But yeah, I think she was, dude, because I know at least there was a few other guys that were very friendly with her, and I feel like they were hitting her up. But anyways, right? When she told me she was a sex addict, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, listen, I'm like, yeah, I want to bang this girl. Yes, is it true? Like, even if I do the noble thing and say, hey, listen, you're a sex addict, so I'm not gonna give you specifically what you feel like is your problem. Is another guy gonna do it anyways?
Mhm,
Right? Like, what's the point in being noble in that case, right? Because if I don't do it, another guy will,
mhm.
right? But nonetheless, like, because I sort of liked her, and like, even if I don't like you, I'm not gonna walk up to you and be like, "Yo, here's poison." You know what I mean? Like, if
Mhm.
if sex is, if she feels that her sex addiction is such a big deal to the point where she actually went to like a sex addict meeting,
Mhm.
like even if she's offering me sex, like even if she's telling me, yo, I want a physical relationship with you, and even though like obviously as a guy, like I might hit that up. I'm
Mhm.
thinking one, STDs, two,
Mhm.
like dude, like if you're already telling me that you're trying to stop your sex addiction, then obviously I can't have sex with you.
Right.
Like that would just like I would feel like shit if I did.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
but
even care about that part, but sorry, continue.
yeah, so like I'm just gonna wrap up the story, but I mean like when she told like she this is like the first time a girl's offered me a purely physical relationship, and I feel like it probably would have been a lot of fun, and like she was herself, she was like very compatible with me, but bro, the fact as soon as she told me that number, as soon as she told me I've been with more than 50 guys,
Mhm.
immediately I was like, oh, this is done. Right? I was like, yo, I can't tell you, as soon as she told me that, the first thing I thought of was, yo, I kissed this girl. That's the first thing that went
Yeah.
in my brain. I kissed this fucking girl. God knows where her fucking mouth has been. you know
Yeah. No,
oh my
honestly,
god.
like I'm with you. So for me, I know there's a lot of guys out there that like don't really care how many girls. I'm not even talking about relationships. I'm really just talking about hooking up with girls, like
Yeah.
in the situation you're talking about. So for me, I know a lot of girls that like are cool with just hooking up whenever and stuff like that, and they have high kill counts. But I don't want to mess with any girl that's slept around with like multiple people, or if they're in the double digits and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Even if it's something that's going to be casual, like I really, really, really hate the idea of hooking up with a girl that's been with a lot of people. Just not even just for STDs. Like STDs obviously like are bad, but also because it doesn't make me feel special, you know? I'm not trying to sound like a softie or whatever, but like the fact that you can just like screw me as you look at me just as a body, and not like you don't think I'm cool or you don't think like I'm awesome or something. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yeah.
like there's nothing about me that has made you attracted to me that way, and you're just looking at me as a buddy to fuck. So I'm like,
But I
no
mean,
thanks.
Asher, like the
And
truth
it's
is, like if you're not, like as you said, if you're talking about someone who's specifically hooking up, like why does that matter to you then?
wait, sorry, ask your question one more time.
So you said that you don't like it, like if she's looking at you like it's just like a body to fuck, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But you also said that right now you're talking about specifically just hookups, no relationships, right?
yeah.
So if
But
it's
the thing
just
is, for
hookups, why do you care? Like, why do you care if like because like if it's just sex, isn't it like arguably that's what just sex means, just your body?
okay, maybe it's because I'm not really into the hookup culture. Because like again, with guys, it's hard to. I mean, for me at least, it's hard to like get pussy whenever I need to get it. But my point is, I would
That's a
preferably
struggle I share.
I would preferably want to hook up. Maybe not say because like I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know because again, I never asked these questions. But I'm saying if I were to have that information available to me, I would not want to hook up with somebody that
Yeah,
has had a high kill count. I'd prefer someone that has a low kill count.
right.
I think that's just like a normal. I know. I mean, maybe not for all guys because some guys be like, well, if she's something like multiple guys, she'll like be more fun and she'll be freaky
Yeah.
and like all that stuff. But no thanks. I would prefer the lower the lower number girl, you know. So that's just me. I was just talking in terms of scenarios. So I've never actually asked a girl like, "Oh, I know you want to hook up with me and we're not gonna date, but what's your kill count first?" You know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
I've
yeah,
never
well, I
asked that.
mean, I feel like if you're gonna like, dude, when you start like, if you're gonna have sex with a girl, like it once you start having sex with a girl, it basically like you get comfortable asking her anything. You can ask her almost anything you want, right? And like
Hmm.
oftentimes she'll answer anyway. But I mean, I kind of get what you're saying. But I mean, as far as like the freaky shit goes, dude, like look, I've never been with a girl that I guess has had a huge count like that because usually I stay away from those, girls simply because like I'm just like I am genuinely deathly afraid of STDs. Like
Same.
STDs is the big because the thing about STDs, bro, is that once you get it, you're fucked.
It's in your
You might
system
as
for
well like if you're the kind of guy who wants like a family, and most people do, right? There's
yeah,
a, like who are you gonna find that's gonna be like I don't mind your STDs? Who are you gonna find
yeah.
that's gonna be like I don't mind basically having sex with you even though you have STDs, which would mean no condom, which would mean that she would get STDs, and then giving
Hmm.
birth to a child that might also have STDs depending on what kind of STD you have,
Yeah.
right? Like it's your life is like if you have STDs, yes. When I say your life is over, I don't want to be insensitive to people who have STDs and maybe who just got it accidentally or whatever, right? Or maybe who were even born with it. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
say your life is over because like it's in a way it's not, and like I don't want like I would never want to say anything to anybody that insensitive that might hurt their feelings, especially if they were just born with an STD because of their fucking parents or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, bro, if I ever got an STD, basically forget about having kids, forget
Yeah.
about having like a wife or a husband. Like it's
Hmm.
it's it's almost like unless you have a platonic relationship, bro, forget about that. And as like human beings, as living beings, like it is literally in our DNA to have like not everybody wants kids, right? But there is a
Yeah.
very strong urge that we have to have kids. And a lot of people
Hmm.
who have kids say that it brings them some sense of fulfillment. I don't have kids, so I don't know what that would feel like. But that being said, I would at least like to have the option.
Hmm.
And if you get an STD, bro, you got nothing. And imagine you meet a girl, right? You really, 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 really like her. Like
Hmm.
you really like her. At some point, you're gonna have to have that conversation with her. Hey, I have an STD. Are you okay with that? The answer is fuck
Of
no. That's the
course not.
answer.
Yeah.
The answer is fuck no. Why didn't you tell me sooner,
Yeah.
asshole? And then she walks out
Yeah.
the fucking door, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
bro, when it comes to high kill counts, like I don't care how attractive I am to the girl, attracted I am to the girl. I don't care how horny I might be. I simply cannot do it because I know it's like me basically like giving up a lifetime for what? Like how long does an orgasm last for? Not sex, an orgasm. A guy's orgasm lasts for what? 4 seconds?
Yeah.
5 if you're lucky?
Yeah.
If it's been a while, 5 seconds if you're really fucking lucky? You're gonna trade up your whole life for fucking 5 seconds of orgasm?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing you could do. That's the dumbest thing you could do on earth, man. But
Hmm.
like, so STDs is one thing, right? But then the other part of it is that like, for me, I have to know. Like, if it's in a relationship, I have to know the answer to that question because if I don't ask, it's just gonna give me nightmares, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I'm gonna wonder about it, right? How many
No,
guys has
I
she
know the
been with?
curiosity is gonna like kill you,
It's gonna
right?
eat you up inside,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. But yeah, in summary, so I was actually having this conversation yesterday, just to like switch topics a little bit. I was having this conversation yesterday, like
Yeah,
I
it's
said,
too STD. It's too STD heavy. This topic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was out with some friends at that same restaurant I was telling you about, and so we're having this exact same topic. And there was a Korean man that overheard our conversation. I guess he understood English well,
Oh, okay.
and he ended up coming to our table, and then he said like, "Hey guys, like sorry to interrupt you, but like I heard you guys speaking English, and so I was curious if like I could ask you some questions or like give you some advice." And so he came and he started telling us about like how like this situation I've dealt with this for 38 years, blah blah blah. He's been married 38 years, and
Wow.
just like sharing his stories. So he's a 60-year-old man, and so he came in with his beer and his soju and he started like drinking with us and stuff. And so he was laughing at our situations. He's telling us, enjoy your youth.
Yeah.
When you get older, things just get tougher, like having a family, having kids, and having a wife, and just like going through life and having all these, things that hit you, people dying, people getting diseases or whatever, and all that stuff. So he was just like, enjoy your time now. And so he ended up opening up and sharing some personal stories. He said that apparently his wife is dying from cancer.
Oh,
Um, and she's in like the hospital. So she has some special cancer, and he has a daughter that has like
that's sad.
mental health issues in America. And he thought like his daughter was going to commit suicide, and like he chose trying his best to like, you know, show her around the world and do all these different things to make sure she you know, make sure she was in a position that where she wouldn't kill herself and stuff. So, we ended up spending like a few hours talking to this man, and it's just like it was really like exciting and fun in the beginning to talk to him, but then after a while, like we felt really bad, and it's like kind of one of those things where it's like you never know what people are going through. You can't really judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Uh, yeah. Anyways, I didn't mean to dampen the mood, but
No,
I
I mean
guess
I get what you're
that.
like. I maybe of like a let's say like to connect that to what we were saying. Like if a girl's been molested, maybe from like a really young age, maybe it might sort of affect that. Her count. Um, but yeah, like no, I mean I guess you don't know what people are going through. That's actually really sad, dude. His wife is in the hospital and his daughter's mentally ill. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
that's really sad, bro. I feel, and especially by the time you're 60 years old,
Yeah.
you
But
honestly. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say at 60, like I guess you have had like most of the life experiences. Maybe not grandchildren, but like obviously you don't want your daughter to kill herself. But
Obviously, yeah.
in terms of like having a wife, like you've been married for like 38 years, you've gone through everything. You've had kids together, you've had a house together, you've had
All right.
traveled, you've done all there is to life pretty much. So, but yeah, go on. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say like one thing about like age in general. Like I don't know about you, but one of my biggest fears, aside from STDs, is the fact like when I was young, I was never necessarily like I guess to some extent I'm afraid of death, but I'm actually more afraid of growing old. You know, growing old is just like one of those things that frightens me because like one, it's similar to death, it's inevitable, right?
Yeah,
But two, I don't like the idea that I'm gonna be weaker than I am.
yeah,
Like the way I am right now, like I'm 27, right? Turning 28 really soon, right?
mm,
So basically, like when you're in your mid 20s, I suppose anywhere from 23 or 24 to like 28, or maybe
mm,
even 29 at the uppermost, right? As a
mm,
guy, you are in your prime.
mm,
You are as strong as you are ever going to be. You are as fast as you are ever going to be in terms of like your body potential. You
yeah,
know, you are as strong and as fast as you're ever going to be. After that, as a guy, you dip.
mm,
You can try and maintain. You can train. Like you can train and you can try your best to maintain. The point is that
mm,
your body's potential is just even at 32, 33 is not going to be what it was at 25,
yeah,
right? And it's like the thing I hate about age, bro, because I see old people, right? Like, look, nothing wrong with old people, but I see like some of them they're really helpless, like they're walking with canes, they develop arthritis, they develop hearing issues, they some of them I don't even. I feel like this is really mean, but like some of them have issues wiping their own ass depending on how old they get.
mm,
And could you
mm,
imagine? Like, could you imagine for a second, bro? Like you're like my days of getting my ass wiped by somebody else are fucking over. Okay, that was like when I was 2 or 3 or younger, right?
Yeah,
Those days are fucking over. I'm not looking forward to having those days come back around. Like I'm at a nursing home and it's like 4 o'clock, right? And the nurse walks in and goes like, "Ali, it's 4 o'clock. You know what time that means?" And I'm just like, I fucking hate 4 o'clock because that means that she's gonna fucking take off my pants, clean my diaper or something.
yeah.
You know, like, bro, growing old is just like one of those things that I'm like deathly afraid of. And in all honesty, man, like when I
Life
was
sucks, man.
it does because like yo, as I get older, I feel like the years are going by faster. Bro, it's already mid-May. It's already been like 7 or 8 months since we've been in Korea. How fucking fast does the time go by? Eventually, the year is gonna pass, and then another year is gonna go by, and we're both gonna be dead.
Yeah, man.
I don't like that.
No,
I feel like the human life is too short.
it's so true. I'm sure, like, people that, like, before coming here, when you told them that you're gonna leave Canada and come to Korea for a year, excuse me, there was probably a lot of people that were really excited for you and said, "Wow, that's awesome. I wish I had that experience." And most people would say that that's like a courageous thing or like a fun thing to do because life is so short,
Yeah,
even though they say like a year, that's a long time. I'm like, not really. This like it's a 1 year out of my 80 plus years on this world. So it's like you gotta live your life while you're still young because at one point you will be old. You will be looking back on your 70 plus years of life and then think, what did I do with my life? And then
yeah,
maybe that's when you're 70 you can still do some stuff, but like when you're in your 80s,
yeah.
like you're done.
Yeah, that's gotta
So
be a sinking feeling, bro. Imagine, like, we're
yeah,
gonna be like, I don't want to think about it, but eventually we're gonna be 80, you know?
yeah, I
And like
know.
that age is gonna zoom up really quick. And when we get to that age, like the you can't go back, right? So you're gonna have
Yeah.
like a lifetime of memories, and you're gonna know I'm basically right up at the cliff,
hmm
and like fuck man, I just don't like it. And then like right now I'm afraid of growing old, but when I grow old, the obviously next step is I'm gonna be afraid of death,
hmm
because that's like that is step 2 or step
hmm
3,
hmm
Yo, I'm actually curious. Do you think there is an afterlife or no?
Um, I don't know what my feelings are on afterlife. I don't know if I believe in heaven or hell and stuff like that. But I I don't know. I honestly,
Okay, let me ask.
it's
Let
it's
me
it's a deep, it's a deep question.
let me
I
try a
don't know
different
where to
approach.
start. Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
Um, Again, I'm one of those. For me, these types of questions, I'm one of those people. Like honestly, like I have like more of an agnostic view to these types of
Okay.
things.
All right.
Where it's like I'm not very. I know some people are always one side of the fence. They're like, oh, I
Okay.
don't believe in God, or I do believe in God, or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always looked at it as like a if you if the way I look at the world is like this, for those people that say that God does exist,
Right.
I can understand why they believe that because life is so complicated. In order to say that human life and everything around us was just created by accident, or
Mm-hmm.
that there was a bang that happened billions of years ago
Big
when two
Bang.
atoms split or whatever, and that's what created this whole like world that we live in and life. And you mean to tell me that biology and like blood flowing through my vein and the way my brain works and my heart beating and everything is just a mistake, and that everything just like nobody did this or nobody made this, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we as human beings, like we can think and we're so smart, and we still haven't figured out most of like life's mysteries and how like all these things work out. So for me to say that it's just an accident or like it was just a bang or whatever, and that's how this all came to be, sounds like too shallow of an answer, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
say?
Yeah. No, I get
Like
what you're trying to say.
there has to be a more plausible way.
It sounds like you're making the watchmaker argument. Like, are you familiar with the watchmaker argument?
No, what does that
So
mean?
the watchmaker argument is like this really old school, really like it's like something that like it's been established. Okay, so basically it's like the idea. Let's say you were walking in the forest and you had no knowledge of God, you had no knowledge of anything, right? You were just like a
Okay,
dumb fucking monk. Like you were just like basically like a caveman, right? Like
okay,
back in the day, right? Like you were like
okay,
straight up caveman. All right.
yeah,
You didn't even know language. Let's say you didn't even know language. And then let's say
okay,
one day you're walking and you find a watch.
okay,
And you obviously like you live in a cave and like you're trying to make fire, etc. So you look at a watch, even as a caveman, right? As like this uneducated, thing, you're gonna pick up that watch and you're gonna look at it and like immediately you're gonna be like, yo, this watch is too complicated to have simply been made by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it had to have had a watchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like that's the same argument you're making, right? That the human being, right? That the complexity of the human body, the human psyche, the human everything about the human being, as well as our planet, as well as the solar system, as well as the universe in general, is so complicated that it would require the intelligence and the craft of a universe or world or human maker.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. I just find it so hard to believe that the physics and everything that we have in this world is all an accident, you know?
Right.
It's just like I just, and especially as scientists, like they believe in facts, they believe in this, they believe in A plus B equals C, one
Yeah.
plus one equals two, and like all that stuff. And then like to come up with the conclusion and say like, yeah, man, it was just like a bang, and then like that created.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Well,
Like
I
it
mean,
sounds
like
like just
the
it
like,
sounds.
because when I was younger, bro, I was really interested. Like I also am interested in like the issue of God and like afterlife and all that bullshit. But like when it comes to the Big Bang, I mean, it's like okay, let me try a different approach. What about evolution, right? Because this is more like this is a little bit less of a existential question, right?
Yeah,
Evolution is more of like a verifiable, arguably. So like, what do you think about evolution?
I know from my understanding that evolution is a theory. It still hasn't necessarily been proved.
No,
So
I hate when people say, look,
no, 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 no. Hear me out though. But I
okay,
do believe it's true though. I do
yeah.
believe evolution is true. But from my understanding, it's a theory. But I do believe in it. I do
So,
believe that people have evolved over time
right.
from different animals and stuff like that. That makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, so I like before I get into like my thing on evolution, why I think it's like I think evolution is soundproof, it's bulletproof, right? And the reason, like, first, let me just say this, right? I do believe in God, right?
Hmm.
And I do believe in an afterlife. In my opinion, like before I even get into evolution, I believe that the belief in God and the belief in the afterlife are beliefs that are coupled. You cannot have one without the other because if you have one without the other, then the question itself becomes meaningless. Why do you as a human being give a fuck if God exists and an afterlife doesn't? Because the question is no longer relevant to your existence at all, right?
Hmm.
But anyways, right? So like a lot of people, like when it comes to evolution, they will say that, oh, like especially religious people, but especially atheists, right?
Hmm.
They think that like you can't believe in religion and evolution at the same time. And there is somewhat truth to that because, like, example, are you familiar with creationism?
No.
So creationism is basically it's primarily a Christian belief, and that's that the world I believe was made 6,000 years ago, and that's the whole Adam and Eve. Because what they do is they use the timeline of the Bible, and they try and basically create a timeline based on when Adam was created to us, right? And they try and basically go based on like lineage, right? So who was Adam's kids, etc., etc. They go down the line, and then based on their lifetimes, on an estimated lifetime, they say the world is 6,000 years old because God created Adam roughly 6,000 years ago, right? Now, creationism and evolution do not go together. You like one, like those beliefs contradict each other completely, right?
Yeah, I
But
get that. Yeah.
evolution itself, like evolution and religion, evolution and the belief in God, not creationism, just evolution and the belief in God actually don't contradict each other. So, example, right? Evolution is basically like the simplest way I can probably define evolution, which I would say is indisputable, right? And this in no way disproves God. But the simplest way I can probably state evolution is simply this, right? Is that all evolution really states is that children resemble and inherit traits from their parents. That's all evolution states, because how evolution works is through a process called natural selection.
Hmm.
And basically what that means is like, let's say, for example, you and your family, along with like a tribe of human beings, right, live in a specific area of the world. This is like obviously prior to technology, right? Because now we have technology that can help us. But prior to technology, you guys are an isolated tribe of people. You live in a specific place in the world, right? And let's say in this specific section of the world, being tall is really important, because if you are a tall person, your chances of survival will be much higher than a short person. Like maybe, for example, all of the fucking food is on trees, right? And the tallest person can pick the trees, whereas the shortest person is too short to grab the fruit, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
obviously a super simplified example, but this is just to provide an example. So what's going to happen over a large enough period of time? Short people are gonna who can't reach the fruit, they're gonna more of them are gonna die of starvation or because of lack of nutrition, which means less of them are gonna reproduce and there's gonna be less children. Which means as time goes on, what will happen to the population and the tribe that you live in? Most of the people that are having sex and reproducing are taller people. Which means that basically the tribe, your tribe, over a certain enough period of time, will evolve to just being taller. Every generation will be a little bit taller, a little bit taller, a little bit taller. And obviously, certain social constructs will be created, such as like, hey, that guy's tall, so he's attractive. Tall will become attractive in that sense. And if you follow evolution backwards, to, I don't even know how, like, I believe the world itself is about 4.3 billion years old.
Yeah, I know it's in the billions. I don't know what number it is
It's
though.
it's 4.3 or 4.6 or 4.7, right? The universe
Okay.
itself is only about 13 billion years old. The universe, what the scientists believe, that the universe itself is roughly 13 billion years old. But the world, our planet, is, I forget the exact number, but the estimates are 4.3 to 4.6 or 4.7 at the most, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So given that over just a couple of generations of time, right, a tribe of human beings can actually become taller. They can evolve to become taller, and they'll also evolve to look a little bit differently too, right? If you give any species, whether it's human beings or whatever animal, right? If you give a species millions of years, possibly billions of years, of time to slowly change, slowly evolve, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can have the complexity that you were talking about, the complexity of human beings and why you don't
Mm-hmm.
think nature can do it. You can have human beings because the first organisms that the world had back when it was just sea was basically bacteria, bro. Like if you go
Mm-hmm.
back far enough, the first living organisms on this planet were bacteria. Bacteria that you would need a microscope to see. These things were so simple that they were like nothing like what we are today. But over the
Mm-hmm.
course of however many billions of years, right? They kept
Mm-hmm.
evolving, kept evolving, kept evolving. Eventually, the bacteria turned into certain kind of other sea animals, eventually fish and other things. And then eventually what happened was, and this is the belief, this is the theory, that you had a fish that evolved, that basically what you had is like some sort of organism that evolved in such a way that allowed it to walk, that allowed it to actually be able to move itself on land, support itself on land. It evolved
But
with some
that's
sort of
that's a
limbs.
reach, man. Like that's a reach. I don't know, man. That's a reach because like again, evolving, like it's like if again, maybe I just don't understand evolution the way it's supposed to be. But like
Hmm.
from in order to go from bacteria, yeah, I get it. Bacteria can multiply because that's how diseases like come to be today. Because like you know how we always have these new diseases or new infections that you hear about randomly, like Ebola or whatever, or swine flu. Because apparently those like bacteria evolved from something
Yeah, they
else that
do.
becoming, yeah. So I get that. That makes sense. But like to say that like oh is this fish because like technically speaking this evolution can happen again, maybe we may have another
Hmm.
human species that evolves from the ocean, some other fish
Oh
is
no,
just
that would
oh
take, even if that was possible, that would, because the problem with evolution is that it doesn't, it like you cannot have the same thing happen twice. Like part of evolution is that the mutations that occur in a species that make it change,
mhm,
usually 99% of the time, those mutations are basically negligible, right? The mutations occur, they don't change the way the species look. It basically gets canceled out by other mutations. And
mhm,
then the remaining time, the mutations that occur are usually bad. Like for example, when a
mhm,
baby is born with like an extra limb or something, right? The mutations are usually bad. They're not helpful to survival.
mhm,
The only time mutations occur that actually improve, or I suppose improve on the current design of whatever species it is, those are like 0.00000000000% of the time, 1% of the time. Those good mutations are so fucking rare that like it's very unlikely that our human species are gonna go through any noticeable changes in the next million years or multiple
mhm,
millions of years.
mhm.
But look, I kind of get what you're saying, but I can give you certain examples of like evolution, in
No,
in today's age.
No, I'm with you though. Like I believe in the evolution, the theory of evolution. It's just that I I also find it hard to believe
Yeah,
that again. We're also talking like billions and billions of
yeah,
years. So like
yeah.
anything could have happened in that point in time. So you're right.
God
Maybe
could have come down and said, "I'm gonna create Adam." You know that? No, I'm not even trying to make fun of that. That's actually entirely possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But to me, to like the organism or bacteria that like evolves to become a fish, and then all of a sudden it's like evolved to be like, yo, I'm gonna live on land now.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of far-fetched for me. But
Well, I
again,
mean, it's not a
not
choice. It's not like
no, no, no.
it
I
doesn't happen
get
by
it.
choice.
No, I know. Obviously, the fish wasn't just like,
Yeah,
yo, you know what? It would be cool if I could like not live in water anymore. Let me
yeah,
evolve to become something. I don't mean it as simple as that, obviously, but like I get it. Like obviously, over a long period of time, maybe it was possible that like, something that used to live in the water just evolved and then like was able to like live on land, or maybe it was an amphibian. Maybe it
yeah.
became a tadpole at first, then became a frog, and then the frog came out, and then the frog was like, "Oh, I can breathe on, land and whatever." I don't know. So I guess you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
to smoothen the transition between sea to land kind of thing. So so yeah, it's all possible. And like in summary, I think
Actually, I like that. You're very like essay minded, even in conversation. You know, you say things like in summary. You know, as you're summarizing your points.
yeah, I am because I'm trying to like collect all the data that
Yeah,
we discussed and make a conclusion from it. So yeah, in conclusion, I think all of these theories have some validity to it. I can
yeah,
see why people believe in God, not just for the basis of like figuring out how the universe started, but also for like a feeling of belonging and faith, because
yeah,
it's part of being a human being. It's part of the reason why like you want to have a family, you want to belong to something, and there's a reason why people belong to gangs and stuff like that because they have no family and they join the gang because the gang is like their family, and they like part of being a human being is the feeling of belonging to something. So I can understand why, faiths and religions exist and why people believe in them. So I can also get where they're coming from and why they believe in God. I also get why scientists want to not believe in God because they want to
yeah.
use facts and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
I get where everyone comes from, and I just don't like the idea of somebody saying that no, my way is the right way and you're wrong because it's like you can't prove that God doesn't exist. You can't prove that God does exist. So who am I to bash you? Like obviously, factually speaking, if you go in the Bible and say, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong,
Yeah,
you can do that. But
yeah,
I'm saying in order to conclude and say no, God does or does not exist, we can't say,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
Absolutely, I agree.
so that's why when you asked me that question, do you believe God exists or whatever? Again, like I was tiptoeing because I'm like, well, I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, no,
So,
I mean, I understand. Like me, I typically don't tiptoe. Like even if I don't, the whole point of faith in general, the belief in God, and like I think every faith says this, right? Part of the belief in God is the fact that you don't know, right? Part of the whole point that I think a lot of religions, if not all of them, say this is that listen, your belief in God can't be based on facts. Because
mhm,
if you only believe in God, like, and this is tied up to the whole idea of the afterlife, right?
mhm,
If you only believe in God because you know for a fact that God exists, that's a
mhm,
problem,
mhm,
right? The idea is like if you're someone who believes that this life is a test, right? Part of that test is like, listen, you don't know if you're going to be rewarded. The things you do and the things you say should not entirely be based on hoping that you get something out of it,
mhm.
right? So you need to take a leap of faith and you need to do what you think is right, at least partly for the fact because you think it's right,
Yeah.
right? So like religion, the reason why like facts and stuff and like I guess you could say like why God would not be like, hey, I do exist, guys. Anyways, see you in the afterlife, right? Like that's I suppose that's part of it,
Yeah.
But no, like I'm 100% with you. But like when it comes to like things like this, I agree. I don't know for certain either. I believe God exists, but I don't know. But that
Yeah.
being said, I mean we can say that about like you can. This is a dilemma that you'll face with a lot of issues, right? And
Mhm.
like for me, I will typically like I try and avoid making definitive statements on things that I know nothing about. But when
Yeah.
it comes to something that I have some idea on, when it comes to something that I have enough evidence to make some sort of opinion on it, I will typically choose one side or the other because on principle, dude, like I feel like you can't go your whole life thinking I'm just gonna wait for more information. Like you gotta pick sides at some
Yeah, yeah,
point. Like it's just
yeah,
you don't have to know, just like which one are you leaning towards. It could be
yeah.
like 40-60 ratio, 70-30
Oh,
ratio, right?
of course,
But
yeah,
that's just how I am, you know.
yeah.
But no, I agree
No,
with
you,
you 100%.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I have my opinions, right? And I'd like, okay, so
And I would
from,
love to hear those opinions.
no, no, I get that. So from obviously everything that I've said, it sounds like I lean more towards God existing than not
Yeah,
exist, right?
yeah.
So that's what I would say. So maybe yes, I do believe that
There you
there's
go.
that exists. So, but again, I don't believe strongly, is what I'm trying to say.
No,
So
it's okay. I mean, as
I
long as you
understand.
lean, as long because like as long as you know which direction you lean in, you kind of know what's your next step, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
like I'm not suggesting that you do anything. I'm just like I'm speaking generally. So like let's say
yeah.
for example I was in your shoes and I was leaning towards, hey, maybe God does exist. My next step would be, all right, let me check out the religions, all of which say that they have the truth, right? That's the like arguably the next step. And
Yeah.
then maybe like but let's be fair, dude, there's a lot of religions and like those books are like really, really long. Right? So it might be unfair to be like, hey, go read all those books, right? And make up your
Yeah.
mind. Right? But I mean like arguably that would like one thing that I don't like, and I don't want to specifically pinpoint any religion, but I'm just gonna say like, so I'll just say religious people. I know a lot of religious people who say, "Oh, I'm Christian, or I'm Muslim, or I'm Jewish, or I'm whatever, I'm Hindu, or whatever," and they have not read their religious text.
Hmm.
And this drives me insane because, like, hypothetically speaking, if you do believe in God and you've also taken the next step and you say that not only do I believe in God, but that I believe in a very narrow, specific viewpoint that God is this or this person or this thing, and that he or the some sort of or someone on his behalf, whether it's a messenger or a Holy Spirit or whatever, wrote this book. Let's say you take that position, right? That's fine. I'm also religious. There's also one religion that I ascribe to, so that's a position that I take. But there are many people who will take this position and they don't even read the fucking book. So like it drives me insane because I look at them and I go, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You identify as Christian or as Muslim or as Jewish or as Hindu or as Buddhist or whatever. And therefore you believe that this text or that this set of beliefs, what the fuck was that? I don't even know what just happened. Anyways, therefore you believe that these set of beliefs that have been written down, that it's available for you to read, usually for free, you think that it comes from God, but you're not interested in reading the book? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like you think that something came directly from God, and you're not interested in reading it, but you're interested in watching fucking Harry Potter? Which one is like which one is more interesting?
Yeah, yeah.
Like those people drive me. I genuinely don't understand those people. They kind of confuse me, to be honest with you, man. They're weird, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but like Asher, I actually have a few other things I want to ask you about. But I mean, like this, we've been talking for like almost an hour and 30 minutes. So I mean, if you want to call it a night, we can. It's getting late. Or if you want to keep going, we can.
No, I think I'm gonna call it a night. We can save those questions for part two, because yeah, I'm getting a little tired and I need to use the toilet. So
All right, bro. All right, thanks, man. It was
yeah,
actually a fun conversation. So this is Randumpz. Um, I just had a. I don't even know why I'm losing my train of thought. But anyway, this is Randumpz. Just had Asher on. This was episode 2 of my podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like the video. If you're watching on Twitch, follow me on Twitch. Twitch is where I live stream. So if you want to be able to comment and be part of the live stream, comment as the video goes on, as Asher or as my guests and I talk, you can do so. So you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/randoms. Or again, if you're on YouTube, just subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks for watching, guys, and have an awesome day. Randompz signing out. Asher, you want to say bye?
see you later, guys.